We're recording.
Okay, ready.
Yes.
I am Mary DuPont. I am the Director of Financial Empowerment for the state of Delaware. This is an appropriate job for me. It's a job that I've worked all of my life, and it's the culmination of my life's work and my vision for humanity. Back in the 60s, when I was a teenager, it was a time of great turmoil and uprising and a society that was fighting and struggling over issues related to justice and equality and peace. And that was a time in my life when I just got caught up in that wave, and it really moved me. I was involved in the anti-war movement, in the civil rights movement, in the marches on Washington. We were silk screening the fists on the t-shirts in my basement and outfitting all of the kids in high school on Long Island, where I grew up, with these t-shirts going down in droves to Washington. And over the years, that passion and that desire to change the world and to make things right for everybody never faded. As I got older and went to college, I actually studied community organizing. If it's possible, I got a degree in community organizing, and I was out on the streets in Philadelphia working with neighborhoods to attack issues related to abandoned housing and crime, and having the city make the appropriate investments in those neighborhoods that were just left abandoned and nobody cared about them. And this whole issue of having the system ignore people and not care about them has always enraged me and really inspired me. It's given me a reason to get up every day and do what I do. And over the years, I worked in the nonprofit sector, and it was always with the goal of trying to make things right, not just for one person, but for whole communities, for whole groups of people. And it was during the time when I was working at a small nonprofit in Wilmington, and we were doing free tax preparation for thousands of Delawareans to help them to get the tax credits that they deserved, the earned income tax credit, the child tax credit, working with low-wage taxpayers. I met a budding politician, Jack Markell, who was the state treasurer at the time. And I needed a champion, somebody who people would listen to. And I worked with Treasurer Markell, and he became the champion of my earned income tax credit campaign. And we worked with nonprofit organizations, state agencies, universities, everybody throughout Delaware to be able to offer this service. We recruited over 600 volunteers to come together to offer free tax preparation, and at the height of the program, we were serving 15,000 people a year. Jack Markell and me and hundreds of people who rallied around this issue. So when Jack ran for governor, and it's hard for me to call him Jack now because I call him governor, when he ran for governor, he decided that this issue of financial inclusion and economic justice was something that he really wanted to take to the next level and make this a priority for his administration. So economic justice was front and center and a part of his campaign, and indeed, when he won, I came into government with him, and he gave me an opportunity to work with him to create a program that would help people to improve their financial well-being, not by giving everybody a raise, because it's hard to do that, but by helping them to deal better with what it is that they have. And we call this program Stand By Me. And the reason we call it Stand By Me is because we all need somebody in our corner. We need somebody when things are tough, whether it's a personal matter or a family matter or whatever it is that's going on in your life. You want to be able to talk to somebody who's going to listen, who cares, and who's going to be able to give you that hand on the shoulder and tell you everything's going to be all right and help you to talk it through, think it through, and come up with a plan so that you can get on with the rest of your life. And that's what we do as it relates to money. Personal financial coaching. That's what we call it, where we have financial coaches that work with individuals and help them to untangle the big mess that is paying the monthly bills, making sure everything is paid on time, dealing with credit scores that are the way that we're being judged today in our society. It's our report card for life. 500 credit score, no access to credit. Everything is more expensive. Getting a job, getting an apartment, it's a showstopper for so many people. So how did we get here? You know, we've been told that if we work hard and play by the rules, everybody go to school, get a job, play by the rules, work hard, work harder, and we're all gonna get the American dream. What is the American dream? The American dream is the opportunity to be able to get a house, car, send kids to college, to have all of those opportunities, to have a comfortable retirement. But today, pensions are going by the wayside. People are having a hard time saving anything, even for an emergency fund, let alone for retirement. So what have we done with Stand By Me? We've helped thousands of people. We've helped over 11,000 people with personal financial coaching. But with this secret, the secret sauce to the whole thing is not just the one-on-one relationship that each of our coaches has with their customers. It's the many different partners that have come to the table. How many of you have an employer who cares if you could pay your bills? Who cares what you had for dinner last night, what you're able to put on the table for your children? Who cares if your kids are going to college? Who cares if you had a good night's sleep the night before? We have been able to bring employers into this because what they've realized is if they don't care, it affects what? Their bottom line. Employees are distracted. They're worried. They're having creditors calling them all day at work. Their mind is elsewhere. They're not focused on the job. They're calling out sick. They're coming in late. Well, that's a problem. So employers do care. They care about all those things. Well, what's the root cause of a lot of that is financial stress. The stress that's caused by not knowing what is going on with your money and feeling that there's never enough of it to get what you want in life. And it's not just employers. We saw the same thing with community college administrators. We've heard that dropout rates at community colleges are over the top. We've heard that high school students are not going to college. Why aren't they going to college? High schools are being judged on not only how many students are graduating, but how many of those students are going on to college. Community colleges are being judged by not only how many students are coming in, but how many of them are following through with their studies and graduating and getting that credential and going out to the workplace and getting those good jobs. When students are not able to follow through and graduate, it affects the performance of the college. It affects the way that we see the high schools whose students are not able to graduate or who are not able to go on to post-secondary And the reason for all of that is financial issues. In the background, we've got all these financial problems that are affecting the way people are living their lives, the way they look at the world, the way they view their personal opportunities. It's the same thing with seniors. Seniors are working until they're 70, 80 years old. They're looking for jobs. Why? Because do you think that you're going to be able to make it on your Social Security check? If you've worked in a low-wage job all your life, or you've worked under the table, how much Social Security do you think you're going to be able to pull in? Do you think you're going to be able to pay the bills, let alone live some kind of a comfortable, aspirational lifestyle that we all dream of? Retirement? Retirement is not a dream. It's a nightmare for far too many people. The elders, our elders. And can their kids take care of them? No, because their kids are barely able to take care of themselves and their children. So we have a situation, not only in America, but around the world, where people are struggling financially, and they need somebody to stand by them. They need somebody to sit down, have that conversation, make some sense of it, come up with a plan, come up with a strategy. But the good news is 11,000 people in 5 years. Hey, that didn't happen because it's not possible to change. People are seeing that they are having success. They are improving their credit scores. They're reducing their debt. They're establishing savings. They're sending kids to college. They're finding ways to retire. All of those things are possible, but we need a process, and we need more than just that coach who's going to be working with us one-on-one to figure it out. We need the employers. We need the colleges. We need the senior centers. We need the child care centers. We need everybody in our society. We need the state agencies. And all of these organizations are suddenly realizing that it's not about the person over here who can't pay their bills. It's about their success. It's about the public program that's failing because the people in it are not able to have any kind of peace of mind, focus, concentration, and success in those programs because they're worried about their own financial well-being, and they're worried about the here and now, not about some future dream. So what's different about Stand By Me? Stand By Me is a systems change model. We've brought together organizations, public-private sector, employers, schools, everybody in the state of Delaware has come together and working collectively on making the service available, on supporting the population, whether they're students, whether they're employees, whether they're seniors, whether they're immigrants, whether they're child care parents or child care workers, working together, whether they're in a workforce training program. Everyone wants to be successful. The organizations that offer these programs and the people that are in them. And so Stand By Me has opened up people's eyes, changed their way of thinking, and we're now on to a new way of doing business in the state of Delaware.